So I would say like the transition coming in from Season 2 into Season 3, like myself individually, I played more support role junglers, and now it's more into aggressive carry assassin junglers.
But now that there's a lot more AD casters in mid, like K6 has said, they can just shut you down completely. That's something we have a bit trouble adjusting to, so we have to give up on our old Season 2 champions and basically get a whole new champion pool. And when we get that, then you see, just like last week against Fnatic, we can actually win pretty easy.
We've just been playing them all day in solo queue and scrims all the time, and now we're really good on those.
We understand how to be aggressive and we know how to push. It's more down to our practice regime. And we played all day, every day for an entire week, and it showed in the results against Fnatic, and hopefully coming into Super Week we can carry that on and have a strong finish in the playoffs.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I can't speak today, but the party is officially about to begin, for this is Super Week here in Europe. And forgive me if you've already caught all of the action that's been happening over the last 2 days. The North American LCS has been going on, OGN has been going on, the LPL is going on, but it's our turn now, so you're going to have to sit and listen to me for the next few hours. So, starting off, we're going to have Against All Authority versus Evil Geniuses.
And of course, Against All Authority looks like a completely new team. They even gave Gambit a run for their money. Dude in that bottom lane with Nono has just changed the team so much. Even Schlea, he stepped up so well against Gambit with his Orianna. He was the reason that they were so close, but unfortunately, he was also the reason why they lost because of those missed ultimates at the end. They are currently in 6th place right now with Giants right on their heels, and if they want to hold on to that spot, they got to get some wins. I mean, they have a lot of games to play this weekend, but every game is crucial for them. And of course, EG, they did show some amazing light last week, like the team we used to see in Season 2, but we'll see how quickly that actually fades because they did lose to Giants that week and see if they can bring it back.
Yeah, and you saw in the video there just how they're building up and how they've had to transition in Season 3. So let's check out the lineups, though. So blue team, it is going to be Against All Authority. It's going to be Freddy 122 Virtual, Schlea, Nono, and the new dude.
You always get me with that one. And for Evil Geniuses, we have Wicked, Snoopy, Frog, and Yellow Pete, and Crepo.
So those are the teams. It is, of course, going to be blue side advantage or disadvantage, whichever way you look at it as the teams. The teams always have different views on this. So for this matchup, we will be focusing, of course, on the AD carries. And for Against All Authority, that is the man with the infectious smile. It is Nono.
Yes, it is. And in weeks 1 through 7, Nono had a KDA of 2.5, but in weeks 8 through 9, his KDA kind of skyrocketed. In those 2 weeks alone, he went to 4.23. And it's really a testament to how comfortable he feels with Dude as a support in that bottom lane. His Ezreal, he also has 8 games played with him and a 50% win ratio on him, so maybe we'll see that come into play. And it's also a little hard for EG to really know exactly how they're going to play that bottom lane because they've really switched their styles just over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, and of course, on the other side, Evil Geniuses, it is the man who loves the water here in Cologne, apparently. According to him in his last week's interview, it's Yellow Pete.
And he's currently sitting at the 4th highest KD overall out of all AD carries with a 3.47, which is no easy feat. And about his champion pool, he's played Varus 8 times with a 50% win ratio. And he's played 7 games on Misfortune with 5 wins, and that shows just how much he really relies on those 2 champions because the next one after that, of course, is Caitlyn with 3 games played. And also, he tends to get, these 2v1 lanes because no team really wants to 1v1 Wicked anymore, so we'll see if he can really take advantage of that.
So we are going to get things started in a moment. Hopefully, Champion Select will get underway. What are we expecting? Picks and bans straight away in this game. Is there any sort of patterns we're expecting? I must explain straight away we're on the 3.5 balance patch, which is effectively what you guys are playing on right now. So nothing's different. The only differences will be Zach is not enabled and nor is Karma.
Oh, and Zach, oh man, I cannot wait till he gets really enabled.
Next week they are both in.
But in terms of picks and bans, I would not be surprised to see a Leona ban targeted at Crepo because he was phenomenal on him in this game versus Fnatic. And also Thresh, where Dio had really stepped up. I mean, he's trying to take over that Thresh Prince spot of Crepo, maybe even head for King for Edward since he was so close on that KDA. But then again, we mentioned the AD carries. We highlighted them. I wouldn't be surprised to see Varus and Misfortune taken away because those are pretty much the 2 AD champions to go with now.
So the picks and bangs getting underway. Twisted Fight being taken away from Frog and straight away. And Kha'Zix also being banned out from Schlea. Varus and Elise, some quick and firing bans coming out here. And honestly, they're all fairly standard bans. Shen being taken away. Will Renekton go next? Will there be any sort of AP champions? It is Renekton.
Man, that crystal ball is working well for you today.
Yeah, Jat left it here when he went back.
But the Twisted Fate ban, it's not surprising because we saw him in 5 of the 8 games last week. We saw Frog do a phenomenal job on him. We saw Osla do a great job. We just see everyone really stepping up that champion. And of course, we do see against Authority locking in that Thresh. We talked about DU doing a great job on him trying to go for that that Thresh King spot, and we'll see how well he can use it yet again. And of course, Wicked, I mean, those are so far comfort champions for them with the Zed in the top lane, and then of course, Yellow Peak gonna be running that Misfortune.
Didn't work out for him, and hopefully he doesn't get Draven against him.
Oh gosh.
Didn't work out too well in the 1v1s. But we'll go back to that later on. Evil Geniuses, though, they are trying to pick up a win here. They're desperately trying to chase down third place. SK Gaming is mathematically just about possible, but there'd have to be a hell of a lot of results to swing in their favor. Meanwhile, against Authority, they are, of course, fighting for that 6th place. They need to try and stay in the playoffs. They don't want to slip down into that 7th spot. We do see Ezreal being locked on for Nono. No surprises there. And also Jarvan being taken for the jungler.
Yeah, the Jarvan. So that's actually a really key pickup because you mentioned the 3.5 balance patch, and Volibear, he's kind of, I say a little bit nerfed in his early game because he was so reliant on his speed to get in there, and that was taken down. It obviously is faster in the later levels, but you don't really scale that, or you don't level that Q up as your first thing. So it's a very solid pickup. Everyone's been excited quite well with him on Jarvan, and also Snoopy has been doing quite well on that champion. As now we see Leona, being someone I mentioned that could potentially be a ban over to Crepo because he played phenomenally against Fnatic. That does get locked in, so we're going to see that on him. And then, of course, the Nautilus, which we haven't seen a lot. He wasn't really changed too much back in the day when he kind of got stopped being played, but he still has so many forms of CC. He's really hard to deal with. And you have Hook versus Hook here, Demon, and we'll see which one's stronger.
Yeah, Nautilus is definitely an interesting pick. I haven't seen that one for a long time, certainly in the European scene at least. A number of champions being played, of course, all around the world. Games happening right now. Friday is really a super day for League of Legends. If you're an esports fan of League of Legends, you are absolutely rolling around like a pig in some brown stuff.
In some mud. Yep, but yeah, get your energy drinks because, like you just said, so many games to play in this entire day. I know I won't be getting much sleep tonight, but we do have against Authority me lock in their next couple of champions as they do lock in Karthus. So we've seen this happen before for against Authority, and when they usually run a Karthus, they kind of switch him up into a solo lane. So we might actually see him in the top lane so he can get his blue buff early on and really just start to farm under his turret. And of course, Xin Zhao being locked in, so now we could potentially see a Xin jungle instead of Jarvan. We could have Jarvan in the solo lane.
Do we think this is Schleyer going to be taking Jarvan, or is this going to be Freddy? I mean, it could be Xin Zhao or Jarvan. Which one are they going to go with?
I believe Freddy was the one that plays Karthus, usually in the solo lane, and then Schleyer, I mean, we've seen Asa play Jarvan in the mid lane. We've seen Froggen do it on his own stream earlier in Season 3, so that is a very strong potential.
Yeah, because they're one of the few teams that actually do quite happily switch around their top and mid lanes. Let's see which the final pick is. What are we thinking? AP champion for Froggen right now. Anivia is available.
It is. It wouldn't actually be bad for their lineup because if they ever do wall someone off, you have the ultimate out of Leon to really set it up, or you can use it obviously the other way around, and then you have Nautilus to lock them down. You can disrupt the entire enemy team, and it gives you a lot of damage because that's one thing I like to really talk about is if a team picks up 2 heavy damage champions and they go for a tanky top lane, they really lack on damage as the game goes on. But we do see Lux being picked up, so that is a very, very deadly team. So much burst damage coming out of everyone on the team, so much control as well against the entire lineup of against Authority, which, is relatively tanky, I'm going to say, because Karthus will naturally build, that Rod of Ages to get a little bit tanky to get in the middle of a team fight.
Well, I mean, so it seems to me that against Authorities, they've got that double dive champion, they've got the Xin Zhao and the Jarvan, but they've got so much to lock them up, Evil Geniuses. They seem to have countered them in the picks very well here. They've got that Leona, no problem getting there. Snoopy on Nautilus, he's going to be having no problems. You've also got the light binding coming out from Frog, and there's a lot of CC there.
There is, and then, but one thing against Authority does have is they have kind of dive buddies with Zen and Jarvan, so they can get into the backline against Yellow Pete very quickly. You obviously will have that flash, which we might see distortion come out on those boots, which we see happen so often with AD carries who don't have an escape. Like they rely on that flash every time a team fight happens, they will have it up. So they have that working for them. They also have the global presence of Schleyer on that Karthus who can just get in the middle of a team because if you ever do pull him in somehow, that's exactly where he wants to be. And of course, Nono and Thresh to follow it up. So it's going to be a big just clash of both teams, everyone getting into the middle of a team fight, and then you have just so much AoE from both teams to really sort things out.
Yeah, so it looked like Nono just having a problem with his mouse. I would not be surprised to see a pause the moment this game loads up. We'll see how it goes, though. There's Evil Geniuses on your screen. Of course, Wicked, that 1v1 against SOAS. Everybody watched, I think. There was that many people watching, 144,000 or something like that. Crazy. There's Nono, that big smile on his face. Schleyer alongside him. Not the normal setup that you would get. You'd normally have the AD carry to the sides, but he's got Virtual next to him as well. And of course, it's going to be the man up top, which is why Renekton was banned. Freddy 122.
Yeah, actually, I really like to see how people sit in, or how teams have the seeding differently, because it really kind of shows you their mentality of a team, their way they work together as a team.
Well, Fnatic are the main one. They always have Peke on the outside.
Yeah, and then they have Rated as well, which
because he's always backdooring. So it's just like you can just be over there, guy, because you're not going to be involved in this game. You go and do your solo stuff. We'll just carry on playing the game with the rest of them. But we are about to get underway here. It is League of Legends. If you've just tuned in, it is the League Championship Series Super Week, Week 10, the final week of action. Well, not quite, because the playoffs and the promotion championships, they come the next 2 weeks. So there's a lot of games still to be played for, but this is really all about who will finish at the top of the league, who will manage to keep that playoff spot, and who will stay in the LCS. Of course, we do get things underway. It's going to be Against All Authorities as the blue team, and the red team will be Evil Geniuses, and we'll have that on your screens in just a moment, because there is an invade coming on from Against All Authorities.
And they are being very aggressive here, EG. I mean, they have a really strong lineup to kind of counter this, but they just instead ward up their own blue, and they will back off away as Against Authority does the same thing.
So as it stands, they did manage to get that ward out. They're going to come around, and like you say, there's not a great deal going to happen from that one, so everybody just backs off quite happily. And looking like Evil Geniuses, meanwhile, they're trying to set themselves up. And they are going to continue through. They're using their Karthus to clear the way. That layaway is coming out, the hook coming out from Dude, but not landing.
And they are actually, wow, they're really trying to apply a lot of pressure around the map, because this is do or die time. This is Super Week. You have to pick up every single win. Pretty much everything that happened the weeks previously does not matter at this point. And they're really showing the aggression against EG, because they're one of the teams that we expect to, well, actually they've been very vocal about researching teams very heavily for that level 1 action.
So does look like it's going to be the Wolves starting off for actually Wicked, who's going to be in the bottom lane. He's getting Frog and helping him out. Meanwhile, on the screen here, you can see it is Crepo helping out the top lane. So the jungler is going to be starting off red buff, Freddy122. Meanwhile, he's going to be on Xin Zhao. He's going up towards the top. So it's going to be a 2v1 in both top and bottom for the opposing lanes, and it will be the two mid laners, Slayer on Karthus versus Froggen on Lux.
Yeah, we talked about this potentially happening. No one wants to go 1v1 versus Wicked anymore, so they always send the dual laners to deal with them. And we'll see how well Yellow Pete and Cripple can really capitalize on this in the top lane, because a Leona and a Misfortune, who are both very strong early on, is going to put a lot of pressure on the Freddy.
So top lanes setting themselves out. Still junglers both on the red. We see Snoopy with that red buff, looking like he may well try and go for an early gank there. They did manage to get the ward down in River. I can't quite see whether there's a blue ward. Looking like it is, because it looks like there's a heavy shadow on it. There it is. Yeah, I can see it on your screen. And Snoopy's going to get spotted out. He is going to go towards the blue, though, because he realizes that's where he's going. And Xin Zhao's going to be following him. They're going for the invade, so the both lanes are going towards this one. Snoopy, oh, Freddy didn't want a piece of that, realizes that Crepo was coming, but it does look like the blue buff of EG has been stolen away by Against All Authority, so they have to pick this one up. Slayer's going to try and distract him. He's coming across the layways going down there. Snoopy has to try and get the difference on this one. He's getting taken very low. He gets knocked up. He gets taken down. First blood, Freddy122, and now they're going to dive in towards this one. Evil Geniuses are going to go on towards Slayer. He's going to go down. It's Yellow Pete that picks up the kill, but it does mean it's going to be Snoopy being set back a long way.
Wow, that was a really ballsy play out of EG to go in for that right away when they knew they were spotted. We had Yellow Pete a little bit slow to get around to the jungle or into that blue camp, but it didn't matter in the end. That first blood getting over to Against All Authority, but luckily EG was able to pick up a kill as well. And that went over to Yellow Pete, so we have both of the top laners picking up a kill for themselves, and it's really going to affect how the lanes develop.
Well, Froggen trying to return to that mid lane. He's getting bullied out by Virtual, but on your screens you can see Wicked and Nono and I nearly said N-rated, because that used to be his old team, Against All Authority, but it's Dude. It was a long time ago, back in Season 2, that he was on Against All Authority, but the pressure on this turret is going to keep getting applied. The hook lands the death mark. Will it be the death sentence for him? No, because Nono takes the turret hit, and now we do see Virtual diving towards that bottom lane.
Yeah, we do see him coming in, and he's level 4 at this point with double buffs. He will be spotted by the sword, so it looks like Wicked should be able to back out, and Snoopy's nowhere in position to come down here and help out. So this could be potentially first turret for Against All Authority if they want to be really aggressive with it, or just to deny a lot of farm from Wicked.
He's going to keep going aggressive there on towards Wicked, tries to turn around, put some damage back towards him, but that red buff, of course, it's going to keep him very zoned out from the experience there. Virtual's quite happy to play the anchor man, as it were, to keep him at bay, and Nono and Dude now coming up towards to see if they can get towards him.
And this is the problem, is that Zed has a way easier time of escaping against a 3-man gank, but Xin in the top lane might get really shut down here if Snoopy wants to come in for that. He obviously will be spotted coming in, but still, that is a really heavy CC team to take it down in that top lane, and he shouldn't really be able to survive that.
So it's really about whether the mid laners are going to go and help. Neither of them have got teleport, so neither of them seem to be making a move towards it. As it is, Schleier's down at about half health, so Froggen's poked him out, and it looks like he might go towards the top.
Yeah, you mentioned the mid laners, and Froggen actually has blue buff, so he was able to take that away from Against All Authority, which gives him such a huge advantage in this lane. He can consistently push Schleier out, really deny him the farm he needs early on. And seeing the top lane, they're going to be very aggressive, still pushing that turret with 3 men. But the question is, will they take the turret right now? Because Snoopy, he needs the experience. He's already behind level 3 to level 4, and we know how strong Nolus can be at that level 6 point with that ultimate knockup.
Yeah, and it does look like Snoopy was getting some of that experience back there. They will keep draining down this turret, the bottom lane. Of course, Wicked has managed to get himself back in there, away from Virtual. Virtual have backed off, and he tries to go aggressive. That turret's going to go down, and it will be picked up. So Evil Genius is with the first turret of the game, despite the fact it was against the authorities, putting the pressure on the bottom lane.
And we'll see how this really develops, because it's a really weird decision. Oh, it's not a weird decision, but it's a really crucial decision on how the game's going to go if you want to take that turret early on. I mean, we saw Virtual come in the bottom lane, he pushed Wicked out, but against Authority, instead of trying to take the turret, they just denied the farm, they kept pushing the wave against him, and just kept Wicked out of experience range. But do see him getting caught under turret.
The death sentence goes in again, but again, he can just keep it at bay. Now he's putting the pressure on towards No, just draining down that turret. A couple more hits, and Wicked needs to start making tracks, because you can see No going aggressive, but that minion wave came in just at the right time, and he backs away from it.
Okay, well, we do see a lane swap happening now for Evil Geniuses. They're going to put Yellow Pete and Crepple in the bottom lane, and they need to switch to top, because they're not very strong against this combo. Misfortune will out-damage them, and if you pull someone in, Crepple's going to stand right in front of you and just say, hey, that works for me, because I'm the target you want to get pulled in the end. So they're going to have to swap here, but Zen is pushing that top lane very heavily, and Wicked will go up there.
Yeah, so Xin Zhao pushing against Zed. It will be, meanwhile, the mid lane, the lasers are starting to be fired by Frog, and he's going to go back and buy because he's got no mana left. But you can see, in terms of CS, he has a huge advantage building up against Schleier here. 51 to 37.
And he's sitting on 1,600 gold right now, so whatever he wants to go for, he can pretty much snatch it up at this point and continue this lead going on. But, you know, Schleier is going to have the Catalyst relatively soon. He's going to try to farm his race and the enemy race as much as possible, and that's where Karthus really gets ahead, is if he can continue to get that CS and become that really big threat later on with that ultimate.
So it looks like it's going to be the Tear of the Goddess and Cage's lucky pick there for Froggen. So he's going to be happy as well as the boots, of course, he picked up. So let's have a look towards the top lane. And Snoopy holds off this mid lane. It is going to be Wicked now versus Xin Zhao. How do you see these two stacking up? Because Freddy 122, he can get in, he can kind of try and get the 3 knock-up, but Wicked can just shadow dash away from that, just like, yeah, you can't get me.
Yeah, and also, but Wicked can harass him from range quite easily. There is no turret there, so Freddy has to be very careful. But the thing is, like, Wicked doesn't have to sit in this top lane right now. He doesn't have to sit there the entire time, push lane in. He can just roam around. He could go for a gank onto Karthus anytime he wants to, and really create an opportunity for Frog to get a kill. And then also, maybe their team can collapse on the mid lane, get a turret, maybe collapse on bottom lane. So it's really Wicked, it's really a situation of Wicked doesn't have to fight you, but if he does, he's going to win that fight.
And talking about the bottom lane, let's talk about the items on the bottom lane, because we can see the Vampire Acceptor and the Rowan's play, but No, we're going for something very different.
Yeah, a Spirit Stone. So I haven't seen this really happen too much on AD carries, but in the end, when you get that Spectre or a Spirit of the Ancient Lizard, or one of those lizards or whatever, it's a really effective item because it applies that nice dot over time. It's true damage, and when you're against a team who's going to be relatively tanky like this, it's going to help out quite a bit. We see Virtual actually getting catching Yellow Pete.
He's gone in towards Yellow Pete because he made the True Shot Barrage. Did it land? The Karthus Requiem does come through, and No manages to get the kill at the end there. Very nicely played there. I don't think Evil Geniuses were expecting quite so many members of Against Authority diving in for that one, but they're going to try and react to it. You can see Snoopy, he's speeding in there. Is he going to go towards it? Froggen just off the side. He's chugging down the potions. They do not want to let this buff go towards Against All Authority. Snoopy's going to be hanging around. He has not got Smite available, though. It's not going to be up for a while.
Yeah, this really is the battle of the blue buffs right now, because Karthus always needs it. Froggen always needs it as well on that Lux. And if the team can control it really well, they can deny just so much over onto the enemy side. And of course, Against All Authority, with that nice gank, they could have actually pushed the turret if they wanted to, because obviously Yellow Pete was down for a while. Wicked was spotted on the map. Instead, they back off. They're just going to buy up a little bit more, get a little bit more comfortable on the items, as we do see No picking up the Spirit of the Elder Lizard as his first major item. Still gives some attack damage, gives some cooldown reduction, which is always a good thing to have on Edgel. You know, more arcane shifts, more Qs, more ultimates, and we'll see how the item really works out for him, because it's something new. I mean, we cannot say we've seen this really too many times before.
Yeah, and Yellow Pete, since he was sent packing early on, he went and got back and got a pickaxe. We do see the blue buff. That's going to go across to Froggen in just a moment. There it is, picked up. Thank you very much. Drive-by blue buff. And now we do see the mid lanes starting to get stacked up. So No and Dude stacking in towards that middle. Meanwhile, Yellow Pete, he's going to be having a bit of free farm down that bottom lane.
Yeah, we've talked about this quite many times with some pro players, and this mentions where if you lose your turret early on, you can either freeze a lane, which we're currently seeing Freddy do in the top lane, I believe, or you could push it and then try to group up for these team fights, because Wicked is doing exactly that. He knows he got the turret, he wants to group up, they're going to start forcing objectives, which you see the first one happening right now on Dragon. They will be spotted by a ward, but against Authority isn't really 100% in position to stop this.
Now they're all stood on top of it. True Shot Barrage is available. I expect to see Nono maybe trying to go for the steal. He can see it full vision. Is he going to know? He's just going to try and steal it with a Q and backs away. So Snoopy taking that one, securing it with the smite. And now Crepo going aggressive on towards Dude. He's going to have Light Binding coming across as well. The laser's going to land, and the hook from Snoopy finishes the job with Yellow Pete taking the kill.
And that is the burst potential out of EG right there. You saw Froggen doesn't really have any items built up just yet, but that damage came out of him was insane. And you're seeing in the meantime Freddy just trying to push this turret as much as possible, but look how fast Snoopy is. Look how fast that submarine man is running across the map, and they should be able to catch him here, but will he be able to escape?
The boots of mobility helping out wonders, and he's not going to be able to get away from this one. Or is he? Deathmark goes down. Wicked dives in towards him, tries to knock them back, but it's not going to happen. Snoopy's going to get the hook up in there. Freddy 1-2-2. He tries to turn the damage on towards Wicked, but it's too much to deal, and Wicked picks up the kill. Meanwhile, they're diving on towards Yellow Pete. He's a dead man in the bottom lane. It's another kill, this time for Virtual.
Okay, I was going to say right there, we saw Freddy. I mean, he knew they were coming up there to deal with him, but against Authority off of that, are going to make a play somewhere else, and we saw it happen right there. Yellow Pete getting denied. And the thing is, he's 2-2 at this point. He's down about 20 CS as well. They're doing a great job shutting him down, but Froggen, he's ahead in CS. He has 2 assists. You even have Wicked, who has that 1 kill and is ahead in CS as well. They're doing good shutting down the AD carry, but they have to deal with these solo laners somehow.
Yeah, they have a lot of CC, as we saw in the middle. How they can lock up a champion, just completely shut them down. Dude had no chance. We saw that in the middle, and they seem to chain that CC very well, Evil Geniuses, as you would expect from any of these LCS teams. They've been playing a long season, it is, 10 weeks into it, and well, it's the final week of the season split. We're going to, of course, have the summer split starting out in the next coming up months. Can't give the exact dates just yet because I don't want to spoil things.
Well, I want to know about them. But anyways, I mean, going back a little bit really quickly to the Spirit of the Elder Lizard we have on Nono, I think if we saw maybe a Razor on the Virtual, we could have had a very early Baron, because Ezra obviously would be doing 25% more damage to that target. But he went for Spirit Stone instead. He's just going to be a tank for his team. And we'll see what they actually decide to do with that, because that item, it's still confusing me. It's really interesting pickup.
Well, we'll see whether it works out for him. As it is, he is 1-0-1, so managed to pick up and help out. He's going to go back and buy. Let's see what he does go for his second item now he's completed that one. I mean, compared to what you would normally go, Morella Nomicon just coming out for Froggen there. Looks like he's gone Vampiric Scepter, so... And the longsword. What is he building up towards now?
Blade of the Rune King is a potential with that.
Of course, yes.
He also could eventually go Bloodthirster if he wants to with that too, but we'll see how that actually develops. And then the Morello's Nomicon going out of Froggen, so he's going to have that 40% CDR with that blue buff on him. He's going to need that for these fights, and it allows him to build a lot more damage. You see, people not picking up Athenes anymore because of the cooldown reduction, so they just counter it with that Morello Nomicon. It also stops any sort of healing you're going to do, so any AD carry you go up against, you just completely shut them down if you can get them into position to have that reduced healing effect.
Yeah, since Athene made his million for the charity event, nobody needs to give him the money anymore, so he's quite happy with that. So Morello Nomicon starting to get the balanced champion in there instead. So, we do see Freddy 1-2-2 in danger of being dove on. We saw Crepo try and go for it. True Shot Barrage comes across, clears out the minions. And well, Freddy, I don't know if he realized how close he was to being absolutely wiped off the map.
Well, actually, I think against Authority wanted to engage on that, because you saw Nono, he tried to clear the entire wave, and you saw Dio try to get in there with his Q to land it, so they were trying to engage on them right when the mini wave disappeared. The turret would be hitting them, you lock them down with that box, and then you try to pick up a kill or two, but with this 4-man push from EG on in the mid lane with Wicked coming down as well, this is going to be very hard for against Authority to hold this turret.
Yeah, I can't see them keeping them away here. We do see Wicked sneaking around the side, but he is inside a ward. We do see the Light Binding Kitchen on towards Virtual, and they do hold on just a little bit longer. Poke on towards Freddy 1-2-2 as he came across through the jungle, and they are going to have to back away from this one. And Evil Geniuses, they are not stepping down from this.
I mean, they have no reason to really back up right now at this point. They don't have anything else to take Dragons down. They just want to keep applying this pressure, keep forcing against Authority to miss out on CS, because Nono needs to get a little bit more just to do the damage he's going to need. But their blue buff is up, and they need to get that over to Karthus as soon as possible. If he does get that, they can stop this push easily.
Yeah, and Schleyer, who's coming across to get that blue buff and realizes, you're going to have to fight for it, son. Wicked is ready and waiting for this one. There's a big day, and he wants your number, and he's not going to give it up. The rest of Evil Geniuses, they're going to cross. Will we see the Final Spark try and steal it from Frog? And I think we will. Final Spark comes across. Didn't quite get it, though. Went a little bit too early for Unso as well on the camera.
Not enough damage, unfortunately, but Schley, good job to monitor that, and able to pick it up for himself. That's going to really deny this push out of EG. As you see, Wicked head up towards the top lane, realizing it's just trying to keep the lanes pushing against All Authority and force them to really react to this, because they're just doing the objective game right now, which is Evil Geniuses. They're forcing you to defend some objectives, forcing you to miss out on the CS.
So, looks like Wicked's going to push that top lane down. Freddy's going to react to that one. Blue buff, of course, going to go across to Froggen as Snoopy holds that one off for him, and he's going to clear out that bottom wave. So, what do we look at across the board? Big CS difference starting to build up. Wicked, of course, was just getting a little bit of free farm, but it's a very different build between these two champions. We're going to see Sunfire Cape coming out from Freddy122. Meanwhile, Wicked looks like he's going for the Bloodthirster.
Yeah, so against Authority, they're trying to build as tanky as possible and then trying to outlast the burst Evil Geniuses can apply. So Froggen, you know, once we get later into the game, even with Schley getting his tankiness in, he can only really one-shot Nono at that point. And we've seen Nono actually, unfortunately, get caught quite a bit by, you know, Threshes, by light bindings as well, but that's their goal. If they can get Nono out of the game, they only have to deal with Schley as the damage champion, and they can really deal with that quite well with the lineup they have.
So we do see, of course, Giant's Belt, like you mentioned, the tankiness. We also see the boots of mobility being stacked by both junglers, Virtual and Snoopy, trying to zip around that map as quick as possible. And you see Virtual on your screen charging down to that bottom. It's actually a race with his support. It's like, who can get this CS first?
And it's a smart pickup by both junglers, because it's a good response out of Virtual, knowing that Snoopy's just running around the map, trying to push lanes in, trying to force, you know, 3, 4, 5-man aggression with EG, trying to get turrets. So he's trying to match that. He's trying to keep up in terms of running around the map and not missing out too much.
Well, the AD carries, there's a big difference between them. It's a 40 CS gap building up Nono versus Yellow Pete. In terms of gold, and it's not stacking up too badly, though, between the two. Looks like Infinity Edge going to come out from Yellow Pete this time instead of that Bloodthirster, which he could have gone for. Or, well, we'll see. Oh, like Binding just missing out on Virtual. A lot of poke coming towards him. Dragon is up, and that's where the fight's going to happen.
And we'll see if against Authority can really defend against us. Virtual's already low at this point. We do have ultimates up. They are going to go for the engage.
Well, Virtual dives in. True Shot Barrage comes across, but it really doesn't land. Dude getting absolutely sniped down on the laser there, and there's going to be misfortune. You can see bullet time landing across on Virtual. Does go down at the back there. Dude going down as well. Virtual finally drops there. Now Freddy122's the target, but they did manage to take down Wicked, who'd gone a little bit too deep on this one. Evil Geniuses, they are not in a safe situation there. Cut off. Schleier's going to go in. He does manage to get the defile. It's Frog, and they're going to go towards it. Flashes through. Requiem comes down. He picks up one. No, yes, he does. No comes in. Barrier baits Yellow Pete and picks up the kill. The ignite is not enough, and Snoopy, the only man standing for Evil Geniuses.
Holy crap. So let's recap that fight real quick. So we saw Schleier exhaust Wicked right off the bat. Right, he was trying to pop his ultimate, which was right there, just gave him a huge advantage in the fight. Wicked wasn't able to burst anyone down, and against Authority just picked him apart. But at the end right there, against Authority knew his ultimate was up. Schleier wanted to flash in just to create some more damage, and we saw Nono follow up right behind with a flash. The thing is, he arcane shifted over the red wall. The arcane shift damage hit Froggen, ended up getting the kill on him, and then he just picked up against Yellow Pete.
And now Snoopy's in all sorts of trouble. He's not going to be able to get away from this one. Tries to flash, but Freddy122, but no! Here comes Greppo on towards Freddy122. Nono's going deep. He wants this. He gets the kill. Will he be able to get away? He doesn't have a flash. Death Sentence comes in. He manages to catch on towards Wicked, and the Lantern pulls him away. And Huge showing his new tricks for against All Authority.
Dude, that was a great Lantern coming out of him right there. But that's against Authority. This is the new team that we're talking about. They just play so much differently. Nono seems so comfortable, you know, in his lane with his support player. And dude, he's done a phenomenal job with just getting into the team and really making himself stand out.
He's a cool dude, that's for sure.
Yes,
He's been doing some excellent moves here, and against All Authority, they're taking it to Evil Geniuses right now. Just 1,000 gold between them, 8-7 in kills and 1-1 in turrets. We see the light bindings going down. That's just going to get popped off. Luminescence from Froggen. He's keeping that mid lane, keeping it farmed, as you would expect. But it is very, very close right now between him and Schleier. And Schleier's been picking up all of those assists from that Requiem. All of the kills in that last fight, though. Look at Nono, 5-0-2. Big swing for him now against Yellow Pete, and that may well help them out.
And he was able to pick up his Blade of the Rune King on top of that, so he's going to be very deadly. He's going to have the extra movement speed to shut anyone down, and also the heal off of that. And then Yellow Pete, he obviously went for that Bloodthirster just because everyone, or at least with Freddy, 1-2 and Virtual, can dive onto him, which really hurts him quite a bit. He needs to be able to have that sustain in these fights, which that will give it to him. And then Froggen obviously going to be going for Zonias as well, because he's going to have to deal with the pretty much 4 attack damage team that will be hitting him.
Great warding as well from against All Authority. They have full vision. They know exactly where Evil Geniuses are going. There's nothing sneaky. It's kind of working out for them right now. They're just keeping their distance. Wicked again off the side. He's been trying to get in the back, but like you mentioned, he's just not been able to absolutely wipe anyone out because he gets caught every time.
And the thing is, Schlea's exhaust every time that's what you have to do to counter a Zed. If you don't have like a KO to really counter the ultimate, if you get that exhaust onto him, it's going to hurt him so bad. As you see him actually catching Schlea a little bit, but you see right there how far behind he is. He didn't really do that much damage to him.
Didn't do a great deal of damage at all, and Schlea, with that Rod of Ages on him, he's just going to clear out and pick up the blue buff. But are they going to try and set up for a fight directly after it? Final spark comes in. I think he got it. Yes, he did. Froggen managed to snipe it this time.
Great job by him. Great job by EG in general, just keeping wards on that blue buff, allowing Froggen to go for this. And by denying that away from Schlea, they're going to have a hard time, you know, stopping a push out of EG. They're also going to have a hard time really sieging down this turret, but they are going to be going for a 5-man push here.
They are going to dive in towards the mid turret, but Snoopy seems to want a piece of it. They are getting the poke back and forward. Wicked trying to get a little poke on towards Freddy 122, but that Sunfire Cape is going to be helping him out with that big armor stack.
And you're seeing against Author, they're being very cautious for smart reason. They don't want to fight unless Schlea has that exhaust up. He's the only team with that available. They know that if they use that on Wicked, it'll shut him down, and it makes it pretty much a 5-on-2 in turn, or at least a 3-on-2 in terms of damage. So you see, unfortunately, missing that pull, and Schlea just gonna be farming up that bottom lane. He does have ultimate up though, so if A gets some damage down, he could participate.
Yeah, as soon as he shows himself down the bottom, I expect to see Evil Genius is going a little bit more aggressive here. He's going to clear out the wave and head back in there, but Evil Genius has realized situation. They know that Requiem is always a global counter, and they do back off from this one. So Wicked's going to farm out this top lane. Let's have a look between these guys. See who they're stacking right now. 8-7 in kills between them, very close. Gold being picked up by Wicked on that top lane. We do see against our authorities, they've been stacking around this mid lane. This is almost like a solo queue game. You know, every time you see the team just stacking in that mid lane, eventually somebody's going to give, and it looks like it might be Evil Geniuses.
Well, it's a very scary point in this game. We do see Snoopy trying to go in. He does have ultimate available, so he does get the pull back on Virtual.
He does manage to get the hook. The light binding comes through. There's the laser. It's going to be the Nocturnal ultimate. Does manage to catch him, and just on the tip of the bullet time, Misfortune does manage to get it there, and Yellow Pete will be happy for that kill. He's chasing down towards Nono. Light binding comes through, but didn't quite catch on towards Nono. Instead, we see Snoopy going very, very deep. Crepo gets in there, does manage to get the Sunfire, puts on the glasses, and walks away with his shades down. And Schlea also dropped off. Can he get a light bind? Yes, he can. One last hit on Crepo. Will the Requiem pick up a kill? No, not quite enough. But Evil Genius has won out that fight.
And that was a 4-on-5 fight for against Author, and they still did that well, picking up those 2 kills. So in the end, it was a 3-for-2 trade in favor of Evil Geniuses, as we're going to see some items being picked up now, as the Lucker Onslaught is now picked up for Crepo, and we see a Ruby Sightstone done for Dude. So, you know, during that entire fight, we saw Virtual, he got caught a little bit. He got pulled back into the turret range by Snoopy, but then you saw Dude put down his ultimate, as you saw the ultimate out of Snoopy hit Virtual, and it pretty much just said, hey, you're not going to go after him. Like, there's no one to engage through that wall because you'll be too slow, but the bullet time was enough to pick him up.
But have they bought enough time for Wicked to pick up that bottom turret? He's working down on it. Nono's trying to clear out the top, and I think Wicked, well, he's going to have Dude coming in, but I don't think he's going to quite do enough here. I certainly wouldn't want to engage on an AD carry, but he's got no vision, so he does back away. And Dude does successfully defend out that bottom turret. Very well played from the support player.
Now we're seeing Schlea in terms of items. He's picking up Azonias as well. Froggen has his completed, but Schlea, I mean, he knows he's a little bit squishy. He has the home guard boots as well, which I want to point out. Because you're card this, because you want to keep farming, you want to get back to lane as quick as possible, and that item really helps with that situation. Blue buff is being picked up again for Froggen, and that is just a great job by EG to control it every single time.
Yeah, they're keeping on top of that one after losing it at the very start of the game. They have managed to retain it, and Froggen, again, it's such an important item for Froggen, especially with that laser. Keep that cooldown. And of course, let's not forget the mana regen. It does help quite a bit on Froggen, but he has got quite a lot of mana items. He's got his Zhonya's Hourglass now, along with that Morello Nomicon. Meanwhile, you see a Zhonya's Hourglass also being picked up by Schlea.
And that's the thing. I mean, Froggen doesn't want to build another item for CDR. So if EG can control that blue and keep giving it to him, he can build more AP and become more impactful as the fights go along. We do have a Last Whisper now done for Yellow Pete, though. So he's going to be hurting quite a bit against Freddy and Virtual, who try to dive into the backline against him. But they don't really have, well, he can't really take Freddy in a 1v1 at all, and Virtual doesn't have the armor he needs at this point to take him down, but just the disruption it applies, it allows Schlea and Nono to pick up kills on a Froggen, or pick up kills onto Wicked when he goes in.
And meanwhile, Crepo, he's still got that Total Biscuit in his pocket. He's not used it yet, no need, despite the fact he has died twice, but he's a wide chunk down on the biscuit, so you got to save him for a cup of tea. And keep yourself nice and calm when the fight does actually break out and you need to chug through that biscuit. As it stands, though, we see the AD carries Yellow Pete. He's got himself that Bloodthirster and Last Whisper along with the Berserker Greaves, but a very, very different build for Nono. He's all worried about that light binding. He's got the Mercury Treads in there, as well as the Sheen, Blade the Rune King, and the Spirit, the Elder Lizard.
I'm curious if he's going to go for the Trinity Force, actually go for the Frozen Gauntlets there, or the Iceborne Gauntlets to really, try to stay alive. But the thing is, he's not being dove on too hard yet by Wicked. But the thing is, if he does pick that item up, he can obviously kite him around quite well, especially with that exhaust out of Shlea. But, in terms of Nono's build, his damage will start falling off a little bit just because the way he's going, and as Yellow Pete keeps picking up items, he's going to out-damage him more and more.
And we do also see the top laner. Black Cleaver now picked up. Oh, Death Sentence lands on towards Snoopy. They're going to slide into it. Virtual jumps with Cataclysm onto everyone. Snoopy does go down. Bullet Time manages to go through the team, but it doesn't really make much of effect because against all authorities, they are very tanky and they are turning to Dragon.
That's a great time around that engage, but it looks like EG won't give this up. They do have Cripple's ultimate available, so they could lock them down as Virgil's just going to try to zone them.
He does manage to get the knock-up in there. They go diving in again. Final Spark misses. That's a vital moment. And Froggen now, he needs to try and make this one count. Yellow Pete's been picked off against all authorities, taking all the damage they can. And they are just going to back away from this one again and return back to Dragon. They pick up a kill, go back in there. Finally, Evil Geniuses, they do pick up the mid turret. And now they're coming back down for this one.
This is a very iffy play out against Authority. Virtual's very low. So is Dude. They're going to have to back off. And EG, they could even pick this up off the back of it if they want to. As you're seeing against Authority, just back off completely. But that last fight where we saw Snoopy get picked off, Virtual played that so well where he ignored him. He went towards the backside of EG and locked them down with that Cataclysm. He made it so Snoopy could not get out of that fight whatsoever.
And proof that he was that tanky, it didn't really matter. Evil Geniuses are going to try and start this Dragon off. They realize that against all authorities have backed away, so they may be able to take something from this one, which would keep the gold advantage in their favor. Currently 12-10 though in kills, and against all authorities are showing there no slouches coming into the start of Super Week.
No ulti.
Oh, not going to quite land the True Shot Barrage. A little bit too late on that one. And that does mean the gold advantage is currently, Yellow Pete nearly getting caught out in the top lane. Gold advantage currently with Evil Geniuses. He has got a 2,000 gold advantage. And looking across the board, you can see where it's stacking out there. The top laner, Wicked, he's got 1,000 gold over Freddy122 right now. Junglers, pretty even right there. Mid laners, there's the difference. It's all on Froggen right now. AD carries, big difference swing back towards Nono though. And the supports, it's another swing back to Crepo.
Yeah, the gold difference is really coming from the CS and from the two Dragons to the one that Against Authority has. Not to mention the two turrets to the one that EG has as well. So it really is a very close game at this point, and both teams are playing this extremely well. It's just to see where they really develop, where they decide to go with this game. We know Froggen's ultimate is down, so it looks like Shlea will finally be able to pick up another blue buff here and really start to hurt in these fights.
Well, as long as they kill it quick enough, because they're not down for too long. Final Spark we used to try and just guess, really. See whether the blue buff, trying to blind snipe it, wasn't there, going to get vision of it. And instead, against all authorities, do give that across the Slayer, so that's going to be important. Requiem will be coming up very quick. Didn't use it in that last fight, of course, so it's available. Wicked, meanwhile, he's going to push on the bottom turret. Bottom turret will go down. Against all authorities, realize they have a 5-man advantage in the mid.
They are going to go for the push on here. Dio taking a lot of damage. Could potentially be picked up by that Spark if Lux wants to use it. But in the meantime, we're seeing Wicked just split push away, trying to go for that turret. And against Authority, they have to react to it. They cannot let him do this. And good for them. They did make the right call, and they are going to stop that push.
Yeah, they tried to pressure in that mid lane. Looks like Freddy is going to be the man to stop off the aggression. Of course, they don't have that mid turret anymore. Wicked did take it down in the last fight. So that was kind of where the gold managed to keep in Evil Genius's favor despite losing out the fight. What do we look like then? So Freddy122, he had that Sunfire Cape really early on. He's stacking out yet more armor right now compared to Wicked, who's just going all burst.
Yeah, so he pretty much made it so Wicked will never ult Freddy, and he'll just go head-to-head against Yellow Pete. He has the health at the moment to survive the burst coming out of Froggen, so he's not too worried about that. And that ult hit everyone on Evil Geniuses, actually, even hit Snoopy on the top side. So that's why he's been built up. We have the armor coming out of Nono, so we'll have the Iceborne Gauntlets very soon. But EG, they're going for a push on this top turret, and no one really, and Against Authority, is in position to stop this because Nono is back in base.
Shlea getting caught with the light binding and the final spark there from Froggen. That's going to keep him away. That may well give him enough to get this turret because he's going to be out of the picture. Of course, he can just Requiem from that base. A lot of poke going on towards that turret. Does take about half the health off, but Evil Geniuses choose to back away.
That's a smart movement in the end on their part. I mean, it's just, the game is so close at this point that if you make one little mistake and a team takes advantage of that, you'll fall really far behind. Against Authority, they're able to react to that quick enough. We don't have the Home Guard boots on Nono just yet, but we do see the mid lane. actually being a potential possibility for Against Authority to take.
Yeah, they reacted very quickly, run straight across that jungle, and they're going to go straight on towards that mid lane. They realize Evil Genius has backed off. Wicked is all on his own right now. He's not going to be able to defend it. Yellow Pete trying to be a thorn in their side, and he's going to pressure on towards the inner turret. I think, you know, a trade mid turret for inner turret, not too bad if they can get it. Yellow Pete will get this one. They've got to deal with him. They're going to keep pushing on towards this inner turret, but Yellow Pete, he can keep going on towards the inhibitor.
And it looks like Against Authority are trying to make the decision to keep pushing this turret, sending Schleia back. Actually, he's sticking around, so Yellow Pete, you're always going to get a lot of damage onto that inhibitor turret. And Against Authority, they're just running. I mean, that was a little bit of a miscommunication.
They're purposely keeping them busy as well. You can see Evil Geniuses, they're chasing them down. They're not going to let them back away here. Yellow Pete still been told, looks like nobody's got away from you yet. Keep the pressure on towards that inhibitor turret. He's going to have that strut, that bonus to be able to run away from it. They have got a couple of wards in there. Now they can see Freddy122 coming across, and Yellow Pete's backing away. Very well played by Evil Geniuses considering the situation.
Yes, very well played. Because of that aggression Yellow Pete gave at that inhibitor turret, it forced the Against Authority to back away, even though it was a 5v4 in the middle lane. Great job by them, and now they're going to have a nice chunk of damage onto that turret, so they could go for a 5-man push, but the thing is, they picked up that extra gold from that turret.
So, let's have a look. Let's take stock. Top lane's where the action's happening for Evil Geniuses. They've managed to put the damage on towards the inhibitor turret. Mid lane, well, Against All Authorities tried to push on towards that inner. They didn't manage to get any damage on it. No damage on Against All Authorities inner turret either. Bottom lane, nobody really getting either of those inner turrets just yet. So very much a tactical game of chess right now between these two teams. And it is so close in terms of fights. We've seen Against All Authorities win out the last team fight when it actually happened. They are 12-10 up.
And we're going to see a problem develop for Against Authority as the game goes on. Is that you can't really siege a turret when you have a team like EG who has so much CC and so much burst potential. So they can't really easily get free damage onto a turret, so they have to win a fight somewhere. And the thing is, if they try to defend a turret, there's still a really strong engage out of EG as well. So they're going to have a problem defending and attacking turrets, but they have the team fight won right at this point.
We do see No putting some damage down to Snoopy. Against Authorities, they're trying to position for this one. They have got an Oracle advantage as well, because they didn't see Crepo having an Oracle just a moment ago. Dude does have that. And they're going to put pressure. They're going to take this turret down and try and bring things as close as they can. It's 4-3 in turrets now, and just 3,000 gold between them. And again, we see Wicked. He's off at the side. He's going to be pushing that bottom lane.
Yeah, EG's reacting really well to this. They know that Against Authorities grouping has 5 and pushing around, but they're letting Wicked just split push the entire time. He has the items he needs now to pretty much 1v1. Well, at least the squishies on Against Authority, not necessarily Freddy at this point, but he's forced his own to deal with them, and the pull just missing right there, but that Oracle just really applying pressure to EG. They're being forced to really check that Baron, but Wicked just still pushing this bottom lane, and they're not reacting to it.
Well, this is a problem for them, and they do manage to catch on. The Cataclysm comes in on Snoopy, but he just flashes out. Bullet time catches Against All Authority. Wicked does take down the inner turret. Against All Authorities, they have a problem in their hands, and it is a Zed pushing straight in towards their base. He doesn't have a motorcycle this time, but he's going to get in there nonetheless, and that will be an inhibitor turret going down. We can see No, he's gone back. He's charging in. He's took half the health down already. Wicked might be able to turn on towards No here. No, catches him very nicely. The Iceborne Gauntlet's doing a wonderful job. And Freddy122 turns back on towards him, tries to get the death mark down, but No is too tanky. You see it go off, and it's killed by Freddy122.
And you saw right there, even with the Iceborne Gauntlets, how squishy No is to him at this point. That's how crucial Schleia's exhaust is every time. You're seeing Evil Geniuses pick up potentially their 3rd dragon of the game right now. That gives them such a nice chunk of gold lead as well.
And that is going to be the dragon going down, and that continues their gold lead. It's 4,000 now, 13-10. And really great tactical play from Evil Geniuses. I thought for a moment Against Authorities may try and force the Baron fight. They knew that Wicked was down the bottom there. They thought, okay, we're going to be 5v4. We reckon we could take this because a Cartha sat there, Defile. It's a very dangerous thing to dive into, but they were suddenly caught, and at just that indecisive moment, and Wicked took full advantage.
And the thing was, they engaged on Evil Geniuses, but it wasn't enough. Like, Stoopy, he had his flash up. You had the ult out of Crepo if you wanted. You also had Yellow Pizza Zone, so they had a great disengage against the engage of Against All Authority, and they're able to just walk away while Wicked just free to push that bottom lane. But we do see a death cap picked up on a Frogger now. We have a Randomance Omen done on Stoopy, so he wants to get in there. He wants to slow everyone right away, slow their attack speed as well. And they're starting to get the items they need to really just dominate Against Authority in team fights.
Yeah, and let's look across those items. You can see the Hex Drinker and the belt being picked up now by Wicked. Freddy122, meanwhile, he's got himself that Phage as well as the Glacial. I can't remember the name of it. Glacial Shroud. It is Glacial Shroud. I was right. I should have just carried on with my line of thinking. As you mentioned, Rabadon's death cap has been picked up. Virtual, he's kind of been mixed between what he's building for a long time. Hasn't continued to build it. I think he may even be going for a Warmogs in there. I'm not too sure whether he's going to go for Rendian's Omen as well. Oh, Flash comes out. Just try and catch on towards Slayer. Misses out. Crepo missing everything there. But it's going to be the Nautilus knockup. There's the bullet time. It's going to be Slayer, but the Zhonya's Hourglass comes out. Cataclysm catches them all on their final spark comes through. That's going to be Slayer going down, but Crepo's going to drop. Is he going to be the right target, though? We've seen Requiem coming out. Will he pick up any kills? We do see one go down. It was Crepo, and Nono continues to chase. Snoopy in all sorts of trouble now. Freddy122 caused himself a problem for Yellow Pete, and now it's a 4-on-3. But Nono continuing to chase, dodges out the light binding, continues to chase on towards it. Can't chase her, looks down.
No, you can't. That was a great engage of EG. They blew so many ultimates right there just to catch Schlade, and in the end, they didn't do that anyways, but he flashed into the Cataclysm of Jarvan, trying to die in there, really keep him in there as well. They sit inside of that lay, waste, and defile damage. The thing was, he flashed into Lux's ultimate as well, so he ended up dying inside of that, but it kind of faded away too early, and EG was able to escape, but still a lot of damage, and you saw Nono how well he was hiding, how much damage he could do, and it was still a very close fight.
You can see he's very cautious of the fact that Froggen is there. Froggen almost had enough to completely melt out the team there. Did catch a few of them out. Yellow Pete, though, is getting a lot of free farm in this top, but no, 6-0-7 versus 4-4-5 currently for Yellow Pete. But Yellow Pete's build, you know, he just needs one more item in there, like an Infinity Edge or something, and he's going to be so dangerous. He's got that Bloodthirster, the Phantom Dance, the Last Whisper. He's already doing a hell of a lot of damage, but instead, he's going to go tanky.
Yeah, he has to get a defensive item because we see Freddy going to be able to a Triforce right now. Has the Zeal, has the Phage. So you saw him go head-to-head against Yellow Pete, took him down very quickly, and that's what Yellow Pete's going to have to deal with. But you know, looking over to Virtual, he had 1,800 gold to spend before that death, and he bought an Aegis full outright. So he didn't go for Warmogs, he went for more of a team-oriented build with that. It's going to help out a lot to keep Nono alive, to keep Schlade alive, and also Dude, who's been having some tough problems with those Lux ultimates.
Yeah, as it is, we see the Oracle now picked up by Crepo. No Oracle for Dude, though. So vision advantage may well swing towards Evil Geniuses here as they can try and clear that out. Of course, against all authorities, they're going to get in and try and put as much wards down as they can, dodging out that light binding. They didn't quite get the pink in towards that bush, I don't think.
No, they didn't. Actually, we'll tell you in a second.
No,
nope, it is not.
No, it's just on the outside of it. They do try and get in. The hook doesn't quite land, but we see Virtual going back in. Tree Shot Polaris rattles across, but it's Crepo taking all the damage. And again, Evil Geniuses will be happy for that.
And that was a great job against Authority. They got a lot of chip on the Crepo. They're going to be able to push this turret down a little bit here. The Crepo looks like he will be back in.
Oh, the laser comes through. Dude gets melted straight away. The final spark was the end for him. And now Freddy122 and Virtual, they are making a run for it.
And that's exactly what we talked about. Dio getting unfortunately caught by too many lasers of Frog, and the Aegis not saving him there. And now against Authority, when they had pretty much a 5v4 situation, are forced to back away. Not the ideal situation. EG, they're on the aggression now. Froggen's pushing mid lane. They do get the catch on a Nono, though.
They come in towards him. They catch him in the tri-push, but you see Virtua diving in. Cataclysm on towards Yellow Pete. Yellow Pete is getting melted down here. Wiki's trying to go deep, but he gets exhausted. And Slayer gets in and gets the kill. Final spark comes across, does catch on towards Slayer, but it's not enough. And that was a great turnaround from against all authority.
I was going to say, who caught who in the end from that one? It's against Authority coming out with those 2 kills. That was a great mistake, if that's really even the correct phrase to use right there, but they were able to pick up those 2 kills and able to survive long enough. Now, EG, they could have potentially gone for a Baron right there since Crepo still has that Oracle. With that great engage they saw right there, they were able to stop that from ever happening.
So Crepo just walked past the ward.
Shot.
Just checking it out there, just checking it out there. Knew that it was there. So as it is, they do clear him out. So, close game so far. Just coming up to the 40-minute mark now. 5-3 in turrets. Evil Geniuses with the advantage there. The advantage in gold as well. Because of that, they have that 3,000 gold advantage. They picked up a couple of Dragons more as well. 16-3 in kills, and Dragons spawning in 50 seconds time, but it's really Baron that people are starting to worry about.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is, EG, the items that they've been building up to right now, so if you look at Froggen in particular, he's pretty much deterred anyone from against Authority to just try to burst him down with that Zonius, with that Ceres Embrace. So Yellow Pete's really the target right now. And when you have a Leona protect him, it's virtually gets caught.
Just not enough, is it?
Just not enough. He's just too tanky at this point with that runic bulwark. But Yellow Pete, he's the real target to be killed here. But he has a lot of protection with Frog, and he has protection out of Snoopy, he has protection out of Crepo. It's really hard for anyone against Authority to get into that back line, so they're kind of stuck on who they want to go for the kill on. But Wicked, he's almost at that point where he can 1v1 Nono completely.
And that's a worry, I think, for Frog. And the fact that he's got all his full build, well, I mean, he's just got one more item to build in there. But the fact that he just got his full burst combo on towards Virtual and didn't even take him below half health. Ball what's in there. He's got that Giants belt in there. He's very tanky right now.
It is a problem for him, but Froggen's such an experienced Lux player that he knows that doesn't really matter in the end anyways, because he has Repeat to deal with that. He has Wicked. He really just wants to hit Nono or hit Dude or hit Schleia because he can pretty much one-burst them down. That's all he really has to do in these fights.
Karthus out of position a little bit here. Schleia's stuck in the top lane. I wasn't sure whether Evil Genius is going to continue pressuring this one. Instead, with that Oracle on, they should be able to stop out the banana bush. They try and catch the light binding again. Virtual actually walked into that one and took it just to see how much damage I think Froggen was doing to him. He's like, yeah, no, I can take this. I can take this. This is all good.
No, getting really ballsy right there. But Dragon is up. And we see against Authority with Virtual, with that Oracle, just trying to clear wards up because they kind of want to contest it, but it's at that point where if you get engaged upon in that pit, it's such an advantage for either team. You don't really want to be in that close space that you could lose a major team fight, lose Baron, even an inhibitor, when you already have the bottom inhibitor turret very low for against Authority, as well as the top one.
Very aggressive play here against all Authorities, pushing on towards Evil Genius. Says, well, look at that. Virtual thought about Cataclysming on towards Froggen there. He had him in his sights, didn't go for it though. And instead, they keep on pushing. Dragon is now live. You can see it in the top corner of your screens, and it is available, but it's not what they're interested in. It's this inner turret of Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, they're still having a hard time sieging this turret down. Looks like EG will give it away here, but Schleia doesn't have the exhaustive, so if EG goes for a hard engage, they could win this.
Light Binding comes in, misses out to Schleia though. And I'll tell you what, those Iceborne Gauntlets, they are causing problems. He keep catching that Q onto people, and instead, it just slows them, stops them in the tracks every time.
Yeah, it's a great job. It's allowed him to kite Wicked around quite well on top of that, if you've seen him in these team fights. And also stops any sort of engage you're going to see out of EG. If he hits it on a Snoopy, you can't get that ultimate off. But the thing is, everyone in EG has Flash available right now. So even if you stop one person, there's going to be someone else to really get you with a strong engage.
So with that Trinity Force complete as well, Freddy122, he's clearing out those waves very quickly. Blue buff now up. Our Evil Genius is going to make a thing of this. Snoopy, it's kind of started off there, but they realize that against our Authorities are there. They can't just go for it right now. I think he may well try and take it. Yes, he will. Froggen sneaks around against our Authorities, unawares of this situation. They are sneaking in there. They may try and collapse across towards Freddy122 at the moment.
I'm not sure they have the damage to really beat him at this point because there's a 3-man hold on that middle turret against Authority. Going to try to push it down here. Now will be a free blue buff for Froggen, even a free bottom turret against Authority.
They're going to get them both. They're just working down both of them there. Finally, they realize they're going to have to go for it. Can they get on towards it? They do come around. Snoopy is there. It's Nono they want to get onto, or Schleia. It's Schleia. They hook on towards him. He goes to get the Defile across there, and the box goes down. Crepo's getting dropped. Yellow Pink gets dived on from the side. Freddy122 comes in just at the right time. Requiem comes out. That explodes another. And now we see Virtual going aggressive. Wicked just about walking away from this one. Virtual trying to get aggressive. Nono still alive and absolutely doing fantastic. There is no limit right now to what he can do, and it's going to be another turret going down. Five turrets. The aggression. He goes on towards Froggen. Froggen, he's not going to be able to escape this one. He's going to try and turn around the burst. It doesn't matter. Nono's there. Uses it, dives in towards it, and now the top inner turret is going to be their focus.
They're going to pick up 3 kills and 3 turrets off of this, giving them so much gold and the gold lead. If they want to back right now, they're going to have a lot of gold to spend, and they could actually contest Baron here. Froggen down for a minute. We're 42 minutes in, and those death timers are so long where if you die, you're going to be in a really bad problem. Nono gets caught.
Nono gets caught out by Snoopy, but it's not going to be enough to slow him down. Wicked wanted to get in there. He's 8-0-10 right now, Nono. Absolute dominant performance, and his team are really playing this absolutely by the book. 5-5 in turrets, 19-14 in kills, and now the gold lead with Against Authority.
And that's a great job. I mean, Nono, in their game versus Gambit, you went 12-6. Even though they lost that game, it just shows like how much he's grown as an AD carry in this team as LCS has progressed on. And his items, I mean, looking very solid. He's sitting on 2,600 gold if he wants to go back and buy. And I'm curious to see what he's going to go for here. Most likely another damage item. And as I say that, he picks up a GA.
Oh, Frozen Heart, though, coming out as well from Freddy122. There's going to be not a lot they can do about him. So that's now Freddy122 and Virtual that they can't go for. They can't touch, really. Schleia with his on his Hourglass. He's going to be a pain in the backside. Nono is actually tanking now with that GA. There's no easy targets right now for Against Authority.
And he's kiting so well too, which we really need to point out because you can't get to him. Like Wicked only has one opportunity to get to him with that ultimate, with that W, and as long as he can stay away from that, keep that barrier up, he'll survive. And we saw in that last fight how quick Yellow P can really die. As Wicked kind of getting caught here, might actually go down.
He's in all sorts of trouble. He's going to get the knock-up. He tries to put the death mark down on Freddy122. Freddy actually taken low, does get dropped, but Wicked goes down as well. Bullet time comes across. Schleia gets the Defile across all of them. Does manage to try and catch it in there. He has got the Lantern available if he wanted to use it. Final spark cuts down. No, he's almost going down. Oh, is it going to be enough? No, he's still going aggressive. One more hit will do it. The Guardian Angel comes out. Cataclysm gets jumped on there. He's trying to get Nono down. Turns around. No, he lives.
He lives indeed, Demon, and that's 4 members of EG going down. They're going to push this middle turret. They should be able to get the inhibitor turret and inhibitor off this, unless they want to go back and go for Baron. You see 30 seconds plus on everyone of Evil Geniuses, and Shlea, phenomenal job by him because he flashed in and exhausted Yellow Pete because Wicked was already dead.
Wow, amazing, amazing stuff here from Against Our Authority. They're going to tank out this inhibitor turret. I'm not too sure if they've quite got enough. Virtual does throw down the Demacia standard. They have taken down the turret. And now Snoopy, he's got to be careful because Virtual has been making some awesome plays in this game. And Dude's been backing him up. You can see the Lantern out there. And they're going to take down the first inhibitor of the game. Evil Genius is starting things off strong.
Yes, they are. And the thing is, we have to be careful, is that if Against Authority doesn't back away quick enough and heal up, that EG could potentially rush Baron right now. Yellow Pete will be up in 4 seconds, so they'll have the damage for it. And as you see on your scoreboard, Nono 11-0-11 at this point. His aggression is just ridiculous. You know, going into Frog and going into Yellow Pete right there at the end of that fight, and then realizing, hey, I have my GA up. You can kill me once, but Virtual's going to back me up, and we're going to get those kills.
And now he's just picked up a BF sword as well, and he's completing the items out. Is this the new Ezreal build we're seeing? This is the 3.5 balance, remember, so things have changed a little in this patch.
Yeah.
But my God, starting off with the Spirit Elder Lizard?
I'll say if you ever play solo queue in the next couple weeks, you'll probably see a similar build in Ezreal nowadays because of that. As we are going to have Shlea, he's going to pick up his own blue, so they're looking very good. He has ultimate available this time. He didn't have it in that last fight. He was actually using the beginning, didn't he?
Corn on me. He sold the GA.
Yeah, because it was down.
Because it was down, so he's like, I don't need the GA anymore, I'm going to sell it. Meanwhile, we see Rabadon's Death Cap being picked up by Shlea. He's getting more damage in there, along with that Void staff that he's got, as well as the Zhonya's Hourglass. His AP ratios are going to be incredibly high. That Requiem will be a big, big finisher when the fights happen. And now we see Nono and Freddy. They might get caught out. Ooh, nearly.
Yeah, we're waiting in silence. We do see the engage coming out Against Authority here.
And it's going to be Virtual sliding in. Will he cataclysm onto him? Yes, he does, but he only catches Yellow Pete, but that's the target he wants. He manages to get the bullet time across. Nono picks up another kill. Wow! Spark lands on 3 of them, and the Requiem comes out. Is it going to be enough? Snoopy goes down to that one, but now they are just getting melted. Evil Genius is turning it around here, and Virtual goes down, and it's an ace for Evil Geniuses. What the hell is happening?
Holy crap. If you saw in that fight, if we were looking at Nono during that, you saw Zed ulti him, and you saw the final spark come across him as well, and he just blew up. Without that GA available, it got exploded on. And Evil Geniuses, the thing is, Against Authority, they won that last team, or the team fight before. They were able to push Inhibitor down, but they conceded vision on Baron. As you saw right there, the engage was a little bit too cocky, and Evil Genius took that aggression and used it Against Authority, picking up that ace.
Whew. Wow. So 700 gold between these teams, 7-5 in kills. Evil Geniuses, they have a lot of minions in their base right now, but they are going to clear them out. So Super Minions were pushing in there, going straight up the mid lane. As it stands, though, 25-21. It seems to be all about the positioning right now, who will win the fights out, because we saw the Cataclysm coming out, but Yellow Pete, he wasn't interrupted. He got that bullet time across everyone. The laser came across everyone, so the Evil Geniuses, when they land them damage combos in the right place at the right time, they can be fatal for it Against All Authorities. Even the ever-present Nono, who seems to be avoiding everything. Normally, ironically, Nono's the first man going in.
Yeah, usually.
But this time he's been kiting so well, but he got caught out that time, and you saw that's a big problem for Against All Authorities, because when that damage goes, they've not got a great deal left.
They really need him to be such a dominant force in these fights, and we saw with that BF sword, he picked up a Bloodthirster, so he's going to have that extra sustain during these fights. Already has the lifesteal off of the Blade of the Rune King. He's currently sitting at 31%, so it's going to be giving him a lot of sustain in these fights, which he's going to need, because he can survive the damage out of Frog, and he can survive the damage out of Wicked, but he can't survive it when they both use it at the same time on him. So
we'll see whether Evil Geniuses feel they have it in them to actually push on towards the base here, push on towards the tower. I feel them light bindings from Froggen may well be vital in this. He has got the Oracle now, so Froggen, of course, he's got his complete build, so he's like, I will buy all the Oracles because I have all of the cash right now. He's 9-3-10, by the way, I should point out. He's sneaking up there in the kills. Absolutely dominant performance again. Across the board, some fantastic plays from both these teams. They're pushing on the turret.
Oh, he's just to be getting caught.
The Death Sentence comes in, but they don't want to follow it up. The Light Binding gets thrown out. Oh, bullet time was used. Final Spark comes out as well. Shlea taking very, very low. I think Evil Genius is going to push on this one.
That was a very, very close death out of Shlea right there, as he will be backing, but Evil Geniuses, so they have Shlea to back. He has home guarded boots, so he should be able to get back in the fight. They should be able to potentially defend this inhibitor turret. In the meantime, Evil Geniuses are actually going to back away, and Demon, you talked about Froggen having his full build, we talked about Nono having his full build. They're both sitting at like 19,000 gold total throughout the entire game. Next closest person's at about 16,000 on Wicked. That is just ridiculous.
Absolutely massive gold stacks across the board. Yeah. Froggen's got more money than the two supports put together. It's just like, I'm rolling in it. As has Nono, by the way. Nono, the highest gold in the game so far. So, position-wise, what are we looking across at? You can see there's a big creep wave on the top lane, actually, that Wicked is going to have to go deal with. Blue buff's about to be picked up by Froggen, if he doesn't reset it properly first. Dragon, meanwhile, that's going to get picked up by Against All Authority. They're going to take that one. That's going to take the gold to, well, it's just 500 between them. Actually, no, it's a lie. That's 1,500 between them, because they did pick up the turret a moment ago.
But still, 49 minutes in, it could be 500 gold at this point.
It could be anything, because everybody's starting to stack up. We've got 6 item builds being completed by a number of members here. Wicked, I might point out, has actually got a hell of a lot of damage right now.
Yes, he does. The Mama Mortius, so obviously the lower health he gets, the more attack damage he's going to have, the more ability he's going to have to just burst down Nono. And that seems to be their target every single time, and that's actually making me wonder, will Nono sell Bloodthirster or sell maybe his Spirit of the Elder Lizard to pick up GA again? Because it should be off cooldown relatively soon, and that would give him that sustain in these fights.
Well, we'll see whether he does switch up towards that. Would be interesting to see if he does, and really still nobody with full control, honestly, right now.
Yes,
Baron's
he is.
still on Evil Geniuses, and he has just sold it. It wasn't the Bloodthirster he sold, though.
No, it's the Spirit of the Elder Lizard.
Spirit of the Elder Lizard, and picks up the GA. So, we'll see whether that works out in the next fight. Oracle on Dude is continuing to clear out that Baron pit. It's not going to be up for a while, though, keeping the river cleared out, though. So, what are we thinking?
We see Froggen actually sold his Morello Nomicon and picked up a DFG. So now Virtual or even Freddy are going to have a really tough time dealing with that burst damage that can come out of Froggen. Not to mention if Nono ever gets caught. But, you know, where we're at in this game. So we have a very close game just overall. But the thing is, Against All Authority are kind of in the driving seat. If they can get that middle inhibitor down yet again, it forces EG to play defensive. They can siege that top turret, which is already very low on health because the minions push it the entire time. And they could just catch them off guard. You see Froggen sitting at the raid camp trying to catch someone off here, but with the race respawning, he won't be able to do that, unfortunately.
Both of them at the side there. Dude ready to try and get his death sentence onto someone. Wouldn't be the death mark, that'd be Wicked. Oh, Froggen just up the sideline. Binding lands on it, but it's virtually gone towards, and Freddy 122, he wanted to get on towards Froggen there, out of position off the side there, trying to chase him down. And look at the damage from Wicked there. He's taken a lot from Nuno. No, that was just a couple of shots.
Yeah, and we see that Yellow Pete, he picked up an Infinity's Edge. He hasn't really built up his next defensive item, or his actually defensive item he started working on earlier with the Giant's Belt, so he's still very squishy. If Freddy Virtual get into the backline on him, and even Nono, who has his GA available, he will just explode. Did I say Nunu as well?
A mix of both.
Nuno.
I want to see Nunu on Nono, or Nono on Nunu. I'm not too sure which way.
That'd be too hard to cast.
So it is Against Our Authorities keeping the pressure on Evil Geniuses now, despite the fact that Baron has just worn out. They have the Oracle as also one in the bag. In fact, no, it's been used. So they've got double Oracles running right now, Evil Geniuses, because Snoopy's got one on him as well. Oh, my word. What are we looking at? How is this going to lay out? Because this is surely about who's going to initiate and who's going to catch the right person at the right time.
Right, it's very true. I want to touch real quickly. We see the Warmog's armor picked up on Yellow Pete. So we see Virtual actually going in. This might be the final engagement, but he's really hesitant because he knows if they lose this fight, that will be game for EG.
He wanted to catch Froggen there. The death sentence actually does catch on Froggen, but I don't think they realized it. They couldn't really follow up. We saw Virtual. If they would have been clumped together, I am almost certain Cataclysm would have followed.
And it's a very tense game right now. Every team, or both teams, just know one wrong engage will be the game. And the thing is, they're trying to play it very cautiously. Baron will be up in a minute, but I honestly don't expect that to be taken one more time this game. I expect to see a big fight happen during or right before it.
Trishot Barrage used to clear out that top wave, and that's going to keep the pressure on, try and keep those minions pushing in there. Of course, there's a creep wave pushing the bottom for Evil Geniuses. That's going to go down. Looks like Freddy wants to go and deal with that. Yes, he does. He's going to try and head off there, but they've got to be careful. They're only 30 seconds away from Baron. If they're caught out of position at the wrong time, Evil Geniuses have that timing because they did take it down. They are getting ready for this.
I think it's that we saw out of Ezra on the top lane was actually a really smart play because it creates a wave stack up there, and the turret's already very low, so EG will have to kind of deal with it or lose another inhibitor turret, which will leave two inhibitors open.
They could, of course, try and go for Baron. It looks like Against All Authorities, they may try and push straight up mid. They're out of position now. Evil Geniuses, are they going to go for this one? Are they going to take the bait, or are they going to turn in towards it? They do manage to get the Wall of Pain down on Wicked, but it's not quite enough, and it's a standoff again.
Oh, we see EG actually getting split right now. Crepo is actually off on the side all by himself. Against Authority trying to group up here. And we should see this engage happening very soon. Just both teams are on the edge right now, just wanting to fight.
Very, very tense. There's a huge creep wave at the top against our authorities. They've got themselves penned into the Evil Geniuses base. There's no turret, remember. They could just go straight in for those inhibitor, and they are running for it. And now Evil Geniuses, they're going to run straight up the backside.
They can catch him at this choke into the base, and they can destroy him with that Karthus.
They're going to try and go in. The Death Sentence lands on Snoopy, tries to pull him in. They still haven't taken down the inhibitor. Now they go in. There's the Defile catching across. Tree Shot Barrage just come down. Crepo's getting kited. Final Spark comes out, but it's going to be Yellow Pete that's gone down. Evil Geniuses may well take this one. Frogcroft just shut down the bottom there. Froggen's getting dropped. There's another killing. Slayer that picks up the double. Requiem's going to come out. Crepo's going to get dropped so low. There's another kill. No picks up the kill. Evil Geniuses are going down to the Against All Authority. It's going to be 2-2. And what a game to start the Super Week off here in the European LCS. It's going to be Against All Authorities with the win. What a game.
What an insane game right there. That last fight was so perfect for Against All Authority. Shleya using that choke to his advantage where EG had to tunnel through, just flashed in with that late waits to the file on and just destroyed Evil Geniuses. So well played by Against All Authority, and look at their faces. They are so happy about that. Thinking, no, he's always smiling.
Woo, what a start. 13-1-14 for Nono on that end there. Absolutely amazing stuff. Pretty sure it's going to be the MVP performance, but to find out, we're going to go across the analysis desk so I can take a breather and have a little bit of heart palpitations in between. It's Joe and Quickshot.
Thanks a lot, Demon. An incredible game. I wasn't expecting that to come out, but, well, what, 53, almost 54 minutes long, that matchup. We were talking, about what's going to happen in this game, and we didn't really know what to expect from it. We said last week that Against All Authority, Nono in particular, with Dude now replacing Corellius, has stepped up that game. Jason talked about the stats, that he had a 2.5 KDA ratio. That jumped up to 4.5 in the 2 weeks that Dude has been there. And well, it just got a whole lot better for him.
That game was actually in complete control of Against All Authority during the mid-game, and it was primarily due to the fact that Wicked couldn't get his ultimate off on Nono. It took something like 40-odd minutes before he had his first death, and it was one team fight out of the entirety of that match where they managed to get to chain all of the combos effectively from EG on the right target. And Nono, he just kited, he was in control, he was never out of position, he didn't get caught. It's not the Nono that we were watching from the opening weeks of the LCS. And it's like we said, from week to week to week, and especially now with Dude in the roster, AAA really seem to have buckled down and turned on the heat, because it's the last few games that they've got to play.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that build from Nono, because when it first came out, we were like, okay. Now, this kind of build has been tried. Wei Xiao, for example, from World Elite, has done a similar build to this one. He went Brutalizer second instead of going straight in for that Blade of the Ruin King. I think Cutie Pie has played a similar build as well with Ezreal over in North America. But talk us through the build, like how strong, where were its weak points, strong points,
so
in your opinion?
First and foremost, as soon as I seen that coming out, I immediately thought back to the days when AD carries would started picking up Madras Razors, and you would have 2 or 3 members of your team with the Blood Razor forcing down objectives, forcing down dragons and barons. It didn't end up being the case. What it ended up being for Nono was the regen on his mana. It allowed him to continually spam and apply that damage over time dot onto his enemies and just poke. I don't think Nono ran out of mana once that entire game, because of the fact that he itemized around it. And following on that with the Frostborn Gauntlets, he just played zone control. He pretty much just said, look, I'm never going to win a straight-up DPS fight, because that's not the build I'm playing. I want to survive Nautilus. I want to survive Zed. I want to be able to kite the Leona and people trying to get to him. And he played it perfectly. Talking about items, I also want to touch on Dude's build, because after 50 minutes in the game, he only had the Kindle Gem, Ruby Sightstone, and Merc Treads, right? That's it, okay? He had the same amount of money as Crepo, but he was investing all of it into Vision. Every single gold that he earned went into wards, and oracles. And that was it. This is my job. I need to provide Vision. I need to provide information, or enough information for my team to make the right calls.
Yeah, and again, Against All Authority, they just look like a different team right now compared to the earlier weeks that we saw them. Dude's obviously given them something new, an injection of life, I think we can say, into that Against All Authority lineup. But we can go into replays now. We actually had a really hard time of deciding which replay to show. We had about 10 different ones, like, okay, that's the replay. That's the replay. But we actually went there for that last fight, because not just about the team fight, but about the whole positional, very interesting encounter.
Well, I'm trying to see if this would work, but it's almost like a field goal. It was literally Evil Geniuses stood to the side and said, there you go, have our mid lane. Let's jump into the replay and actually actually show you what I'm talking about. There was a little bit of a dance back and forth between the two teams, which resulted in, against all authority, getting the better positioning on EG. They realized the inhibitor was up, and they decided to literally rush straight for this inhib. Initially, their focus is going to be on the inhibitor once Evil Geniuses jump into the party. But look at the slow there from that Frostborn Gauntlet on Nono, completely controlling the entrance to the side here. Now, the one thing I do want to point out, first and foremost, you have Freddy, Schleyer, Virtual, and Dude in a moment diving straight onto Yellow Pete. The only person that focuses Nono was Crepo. Nobody else got to him. Wicked, again, for another fight, could not get in range to get his death mark down. The laser hit absolutely nobody. And it was just the damage dealers of Against All Authority were left practically undefended, the entirety of that fight. It was a case that we've seen over and over and over throughout the game where AAA simply zone controlled their opponents better than Evil Geniuses could.
Well, they definitely look, as I said, like a different team. And we saw last week the whole feature of the Against All Authority gaming house. It seems to have really helped them out, that one. Obviously, Dude is the guy that has to wash the pots every day. And this time, he was the guy buying the wood. So good guy all around is Dude coming into this lineup. But promising stuff here in our final week of play in the Spring Split. Of course, a super week. Loads more games coming your way. But first of all, we're going to crown ourselves an MVP. And it's no real surprise who it's going to be.
Not in the slightest. We had to give it to Nono for his Ezreal play. From the get-go, he was in control of his lane. He had a very big CS advantage. Highest earner in the entire map, 422 CS, and just GG. I mean, one of the best AD carry performances we've seen all season.
Yeah, and his KDA is going to be skyrocketing after that one, adding into his impressive last couple of weeks. So that's it from us here on the analysis desk. We're going to go over to the interesting people on the main stage, where Shox is waiting with Virtual.
Thank you very much. I decided to talk to Virtual, the jungler, for a change. Now, Virtual, talk us a little through picks and bans before we get into the madness of the game. Your counter jungler, Snoopy, went for Nautilus. What do you think of him as a jungler champion for now?
I think Nautilus is actually really strong in mid and late game because he has so much CC. But the problem of Nautilus is really weak until level 3 or 4. So we took this advantage, and with Jarvan is really strong level 2 and 3. So we decided to invade and try to mess with Nautilus, and I think it worked because he was really behind me. So Nautilus is strong, but he's really weak to counter jungle.
Yes, you shut him down in the beginning, and then the game just was incredibly close, once again, just like the game against Gambit, but you did manage to close this one out. So what was different?
Well, this time I think we did better decision on the map, and also we had a compo who can engage easily, so if they do a mistake, like Z bot and Z mid, and we can catch them instantly and kill them and take objective. So yeah, that's why our compo was better to finish the game, I think.
You needed this win because, of course, it's super weak here. So how are you dealing with the pressure? You've been here for a couple of months playing in the LCS, but this is when it gets really important.
I think actually this week was the best of all week for our practice because we did a lot of scrim. We talked way more than before, and we hung out together way more. So I think we got way more prepared than the previous week of LCS. So our pressure is fine, actually. We're confident about our play.
Confident, AA. Thank you very much, Virtual. Now, coming off a thrilling victory last week, SK is looking to cement itself in 3rd place. But Dragonborns are also riding high after ending their double-digit losing streak with a decisive win. Who is going to keep the momentum going? We'll be back with SK versus Dragonborns after the break.